The Sunday resurrection. Tried, tested, and proven. Earthquakes. It is an irrefutable truth that the event of the first earthquake, seen in the book of Matthew 27, verses 50 to 55, signals the death of Christ and the beginning of the 3-day and 3-night sign of Jonah. The first earthquake caused the veil of the temple to be torn into 2 pieces. It also caused the splitting of rocks and opening of the graves of saints. When these graves opened, it should be noted that these saints did not arise until after the resurrection of Christ and the event of the second earthquake. Jesus told the scribes and the Pharisees, after they sought a sign from him, that the only sign that should be given to them would be the sign of Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in a whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Matthew 12, verse 40. So then, the first earthquake was a sign to mark the beginning of the 3-day and 3-night time period of Christ's stay in the heart of the earth. The great fear that fell upon the people who were actually watching Christ's death was amplified by the first earthquake. As stated in Matthew 27, verse 54, now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus see the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly, this was the Son of God. Now 3 days and 3 nights later, at approximately 5 a.m. to sunrise, when it began to dawn, there was a second great earthquake. This earthquake would mark the end of the sign of Jonah. If one should examine the total event carefully, it will be seen that the time period between the first earthquake and the second is exactly 3 days and 3 nights. In order for the sign of Jonah to be accurately understood, one must be able to accept the words of Jesus completely, 100%, in proper order. Jesus said that the Son of Man would remain in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. Notice what came first? 3 days, not 3 nights. Therefore, the sign began during the daytime hours of the first day, namely, the period between 3 p.m. and sundown. The next time period would begin with the first night being sundown to sunrise. When one calculates the period of time the Hebrew word yom and the Greek word hemeralas, you will find that it does not necessarily mean a full 24 hours. The word yom is translated to mean day or days in English. When carefully studied, it can mean a 12-hour period from sunrise to sunset. Or it can mean a space of time, for example, a part of the day. This same Hebrew word yom was used to describe the 3 days and 3 nights that Jonah spent in the belly of the whale. In investigating the Greek word hemera used in Matthew 12:39, one finds that the meaning is quite similar to the word yom. The word hemera means in this case several days inclusive of the parts of both extremes. Similarly, the word yom means a space of time defined by an associated numeral term. If one should study the time of day that Jesus died on the 14th of Abib, you will find that he died at approximately 3 p.m. According to the Greek word hemera and Jewish reckoning, the time period of 3 p.m. to sundown would be seen as a daytime extremity or the first day of the sign of Jonah. Similarly, the nighttime extremity of the sign would be seen as the time period between sundown Saturday evening to very early Sunday morning before sunrise, while it was still dark. John 20:1. Clearly, the sign of Jonah is not trying to promote a full 72-hour time period. Now let's get back to the importance of the timing of both earthquakes. It is the belief of the presenters of this controversial biblical topic that it was Christ's descension, His Spirit, into the heart of the earth that caused the first earthquake at 3 p.m. sharp, Matthew 27:50-54. Likewise, we also believe that His ascension of His Spirit from the heart of the earth, or Hades, caused the second earthquake. This event taking place approximately between hours of 5 a.m. to just before sunrise Sunday morning. It is the belief of many Christians that the second earthquake was caused by an angel who descended out of heaven. This is so because the majority of Bible scholars have translated Greek scriptures in a manner which would lead the reader to come to that conclusion. For example, Matthew 28 verse 2. The KJV and many other translations states, "And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it." Now in this case, the word "for" has been misplaced. It should have been placed after the words "and behold." So then it would read, "And behold, for there was a great earthquake, and the angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone." It must be noted here that there are two Bibles which have dropped the word "for" completely. These are the Good News Bible and the Contemporary English Version. Their translations read, "Suddenly there was a violent earthquake. An angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled the stone away, and sat on it." And the CEV, "Suddenly a strong earthquake struck, and the Lord's angel came down from heaven. He rolled the stone away and sat on it." By dropping the word "for" from the verse, both these versions seem to promote the idea that the earthquake happens first, then the angel descends to earth. They portray to the reader that the angel comes to the earth mainly to move the stone from the tomb door. Now, after deep study of these and other versions of the Bible, the presenters of this topic have returned to the original Greek to English word-for-word translations. We believe that adding or eliminating Greek words should be avoided. This is how our humble rendition would read. "And behold, for there was a great earthquake. An angel of the Lord, having descended out of heaven, and having come, rolled away the stone, and was sitting upon it." This translation also agrees with the Good News Bible and the Contemporary English Version in promoting their same idea. However, it uses the same original Greek words, 20 of them to be exact. These words, when properly arranged, promote the occurrence of an earthquake which happens first. This earthquake signals Christ's resurrection from the heart of the earth. It is then nearly simultaneously followed by the angel's descension from heaven in order to roll the stone away and witness to the women. We observe that the second earthquake is accompanied by epic events that signal the end of Jonah's sign. These being 1. The descension of 2 angels, one of whom's appearance causes the Roman soldiers to go into an unconscious state. And 2. Their appearance to the women, giving testimony of Christ's resurrection. And 3. The appearance of the saints of old, whose spirits emerge from their graves. These graves being previously broken apart by the first earthquake. They appeared in the city that same day. Of course, Christ's appearance to the women and the disciples at different times during that daytime period of Sunday was the ultimate sign. A solid test to augment the truth of a pre-dawn Sunday morning resurrection is this. 2 disciples were walking on the road to Emmaus at approximately between hours of 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. that same Sunday. The disciple Peter said to Jesus, not knowing it was he, "Today is the 3rd day since these things were done."
It has been he which should have redeemed Israel. And beside all this, today is the 3rd day since these things were done.
This statement from him does not seem to support Saturday being the day Jesus rose from the dead. The Greek language used for the words today has to be studied very carefully. In this particular verse, Luke 24:21, today or day has been translated from the Greek word semeron. This word means on this day, or night current, or night just past. Clearly, the disciples were referring to the night just past, which would have been Christ's 3rd and final night in the heart of the earth. In continual study of verse 21, the Greek word used for the word 3rd day has to be scrutinized. Once again, the word is hemera. It was used because the disciples were thinking of the 3rd nighttime extremity of the 3-day and 3-night sign of Jonah. As we delve in trying to understand clearly, verse 21 should read as follows. The night just past was the 3rd nighttime extremity since these things were done. Now, the 3rd nighttime extremity, as seen by the Jewish writer Luke, would also be known to him as Sunday night. So if Sunday night was the 3rd and final night of the sign of Jonah, the belief of a Saturday evening resurrection is definitely out of the question. The daytime portion of this same Sunday was when the Jews would celebrate the feast of the first fruits. This took place on a Sunday after the normal weekly Sabbath, after the first day of unleavened bread, Leviticus 23:11-16. Being that Christ rose during the night portion of this same Sunday morning, he will become the first to be harvested from the dead as the wave sheaf offering unto the Lord. As one will recall, when Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene early Sunday morning, he told her not to touch him, as he had not yet ascended to his Father. Immediately after his ascension, he presented himself as a wave sheaf offering and then returned to earth. We know this because Christ then appears to the other women and they are able to touch or clasp him. Matthew 28:9. As we continue, it is noted that these same women are said by some to have visited Christ's tomb at sunset Saturday evening. The Greek word to be understood here is epiphosko, translated as dawn in Matthew 28:1. This word means to begin to grow to light or to begin to dawn. If the woman's visit took place at sunset, it would not begin to grow to light. It would begin to grow dark. Definitely, as tried, tested, and proven in the book of Mark 16:2, they, the women, came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. For those who believe that Christ rose on a Saturday evening, how is it that not even one single sign or significant event took place that evening? One would not be able to know precisely when the time period of Jonah's sign ended. The truth of the matter is simply that the sign of Jonah ended with the event of the second earthquake before dawn on a Sunday morning. Now, in conclusion of this presentation, it is clear to see that Christ rose just before dawn on a Sunday morning. The ascension of his spirit from Hades, the heart of the earth, is what caused a powerful earthquake. We also know that the descension of his spirit into Hades at his death caused another powerful earthquake. We know that the timing of these two earthquakes marked the beginning and the end of the sign of Jonah. Although it is said by some that it does not matter which day he, Christ, resurrected, we tend to disagree. Christ must have wanted us to know, as this could be the only reason why he told us of the sign of Jonah.